Welcome to Jesus with Josie. So this morning I want to talk to you about how God can turn tragedies into triumph and how he truly does work things out for our good. You know, Romans 8:28 is a very common scripture. It says, we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. I've heard this before, that we live life forward and we understand it backwards. So many times when we're just in the middle of things, in the middle of trials, we can't see what God is doing. And I just wanted to share this story, that this huge tragedy that happened in my life. And as I look back, I see the hand of God in all of it. So I had a next door neighbor. She was my dear friend for 4 years. She was the best neighbor I've ever had, so full of life and joy, and everyone loved her. And we either saw each other or talked almost every single day. She was going in for a routine surgery, and I prayed over her, got to talk to her before the surgery. She was like, I'll be back in a few days. And lo and behold, this surgery did not go as planned. And she was in the fighting for her life. So we're all praying, we're pressing in, the entire church is praying. And prior to this happening, I had been playing The Goodness of God, that song, on repeat. And I was just so full of that. You know, my spirit was just the goodness of God. God is so good. Like over and over, I was listening to this song, and then this tragedy happens. And I'm like, God, are you really good? Why are you allowing this to happen? And one of her desires, a huge desire of her heart, was for her dad, who was in his 80s, to be saved. And he lived next door to her, so two houses down from me. And, you know, over those 4 years, it was something that we talked about frequently. She was like, I just want my dad to be saved. You know, like, I'm glad I have him in this life, but I want him to be with me for all eternity. And her mom, his wife, had passed away like 20, 30 years earlier. And he was already just very angry at God for taking his wife. And so he had this bitterness there. But long story short, after about 7 days or so of fighting for her life, she did pass away, and now she's with Jesus. And, you know, she left behind an 18-year-old daughter and her dad, and I just could not understand. I was so angry that God would take her. And, you know, her dad, I knew he was angry at God already, and now I was like, well, he's going to be furious, and I don't even know what to do with him now. I'm scared to even talk to her dad. So over the next 8 months, I spent so much time with her dad because she was his caretaker. And, you know, it was just a huge missing part in his heart now that she was gone. And I just continued to share the love of God. I would share how his daughter's in heaven, how she's with Jesus. And we can't even imagine all the beautiful things that she's experiencing, and that she's with her mom. You know, and if he would just give his heart to God, then he can be reunited with them one day. So a couple of months after her death, he gave his life to Jesus. And then about 3 months after that, he passed away. So her heart's desire for those 4 years was for her dad to be saved so that she could be with him for all eternity, for her family to be saved. She wanted her family to be saved. Her dad got saved. Her daughter radically rededicated her life to Jesus. She's living for him now and bearing much fruit for his kingdom. So what seemed like a total tragedy and just something that I could not understand. Why would you take my friend? Why would you take this girl's mom? Why would you take her away from her dad? You know, she was his caretaker. I just could not understand all this. It made no sense at all. But God gave her her desires by saving her family. And now they're together in heaven for all eternity. So this is just one example of how God takes our tragedies and ultimately works it out for his good, because the main goal of this life is to know Jesus. You know, we want people to be saved so that we can all be together for all eternity and be with him for all eternity. So if that happens in our lives, in our friends' lives, our family members' lives, we have succeeded, you know. And God, his ultimate goal is to have us be with him. You know, he wants us to give our lives to him. So we may not always understand what's going on, but we can trust, and I've just seen it over and over and over again, of how he truly does work all things out for our good. So if you're in a situation today and you're not understanding what's going on, just trust God in the midst of it, and just know that he truly can take all of our tragedies and turn it into a triumph. All right, prayer for y'all. Please subscribe, like this video, comment below. Let me know something that God has done for you. What tragedy has he turned into a triumph? All right, you guys be blessed. It's Jesus with Josie.